What is going on, everybody? I'm currently in front of this property that me and my partners made $78,000 on. Yes, we made $78,000 on this piece of junk as it sits like this. But here's the deal. This deal was not easy. We had to overcome a lot of objections from the seller. And by the end of this video, I'm gonna show you guys exactly how to overcome every seller objection. Before I go ahead and do that, I wanna show you guys the property itself and show you guys how we landed this appointment. Let's go check it out. Hello? Anybody home? Hello, hello? Whenever these properties are vacant, I make sure that nobody's in here. There's a lot of the times squatters will end up coming into the property and I don't want no problems. So if you're not new to the channel, you probably already know that the majority of our real estate deals come from our virtual assistants, cold calling and texting homeowners in the neighborhood to see if they're interested in selling their property. And then we lock them up over the phone and we actually never go to the property. But this property was a different scenario. This property was one of our referral leads. So probably about 70% of our deals come from our VAs. And then the extra 30% comes from people that know me in the area and send us opportunities. So for this particular opportunity, we had one of our JV partners, JV means joint venture. One of our JV partners went to this property as if he was going to flip the property himself, but then realized, if you guys can see, it was way too much work for him. So he's like, listen, I don't want this deal. These numbers don't really even make too much sense for me. Mike, I know you and your business have a badass wholesaling process. So why don't you go ahead and connect with the seller? She wants to see you face to face. Can you go over there next week and try to help her out? And I'm like, of course. So I come on the appointment and we end up getting the deal done. But like I told you before, it wasn't super easy. This seller at the end, when I was giving her the offer, told me no. Now you're probably like, dang, I get told no all the time in my calls. How the heck did you still get the deal? If you have a sales process and you know what you're doing, you're gonna be able to overcome these things and be able to get deals done that nobody else is getting done. So we locked this deal up on site. We didn't do this through the phone like the majority of our deals. Here's the deal, they're pretty much similar processes and I use the same 8-step sales process. If you don't know what the 8-step sales process is, go back to the channel and watch the 8-step sales process video. But I use that process for our on-site appointments as well. And that's exactly what I did for this deal. So I'll show you right now exactly what the appointment looked like when we got the deal locked up. Actually, before we even walk the property, one of the first major things in my 8-step sales process when I'm on an on-site appointment is I don't even walk the property. Before I even open the door, I build rapport and I bond with the seller before ever even getting inside the property. And that's what I did for this one. So I walked up to the property, had a conversation, got caught up to speed on exactly what was going on with the property. And then we went inside and we started walking it. After we started walking it, here's what we came and looked at. As you look, this whole entire thing needs to be completely gutted. So I'm walking through the property, right? And I'm gonna take you through this whole entire thing. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, man, this is interesting. Okay, I could see why Tim said this was too much for him. This is gonna be a lot of work. And I'm getting her to understand that this is not an easy deal. Like if you look up here, I remember right there, there's a bunch of mold. If you turn the camera over there.
Oh no.
I'm like, I pointed up to the mold and I'm like, man, that is gonna be difficult to take care of. What happened? And she's like, yeah, my dad he owned this property and he was just going through some health conditions and it just didn't make sense for him to take care of it himself. So he left and the property's been vacant for like 3 years and this is how it sat for the past 3 years. And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. Why don't you guys just fix it up yourself and put it on the market? And she's like, listen, I work a full-time job. My father's not doing well. We want absolutely nothing to do with this property. I just want to get rid of it. So as I'm walking this thing with the seller, I'm like, dang, I understand why my guy didn't want to buy this deal. This is a lot of work. For us, we do the majority of our deals wholesaling, and then we'll cherry pick some of them, the best ones to pick, to flip, and we'll flip those. I only like flipping the ones that are super easy. I don't like flipping the ones that are crazy rehabs like this. So I understand why he didn't want this deal. But the most important thing for me on the appointment was to, one, solve a problem, but two, get her to understand the reality of her situation. The reality of the situation is like, dude, the only person that can buy this deal is somebody that's gonna actually fix it. So we came here to solve that problem, and that's exactly what we did. But let's go check out the upstairs. I hear something up here, bro.
Really?
I don't know. Oh yeah, it sounds like they got. I don't know, bro. If you know me, You know, I don't do animals, bro. Man, listen, y'all don't need to see up here because I don't like animals. So we're going to get our asses back downstairs. All right, I'm getting the heck out of here. Y'all don't need to see what's upstairs, and I don't either because I know it's some animals. The most important thing you guys need to find out right now is how we overcame all the objections and how you overcome anything that comes your way. So let's get the heck out of here. So for the first half of every single seller walkthrough, there's a couple important things that you want to accomplish. You want to make a friend. You want to figure out what the problem is. You want to get them to understand where they're at and what their current situation is. And then you want to set some expectations for what's going to happen. So after I just did all that with the seller, I let them know, hey, I'm going to go back to the car, I'm going to crunch some numbers, and I'm going to see exactly what we can do for you and what we're going to offer on your property. So I went back to the car, did that, and then I came back and gave the offer. And now here's what you guys are all waiting for. As I came back into the appointment and I gave her the offer, she said, and you guys have probably heard this before. I'm going to give you all a second to take a guess. Take a guess. What do you think she said when I gave her the offer? Very common objection. I'm gonna need some time to think about it. I'm like, okay. Okay, so before I get into exactly what I said right after that, I want to distinguish two different things. The first thing being objections. Second thing being complaints. It's very important to understand the difference between the two. A complaint is something that can be handled. It's something that is not really preventing the deal from getting done. This is like, hey, I need to go talk to my wife. This is, I gotta think about it. Those type of replies are simply things that you can overcome by addressing them and moving on. An objection is something that you need to handle. This is like, hey, I cannot do that price because it's not enough to pay off the mortgage. You're never gonna get the deal done if you don't come up on price or you don't figure out some creative way to do it. But if you just have a complaint, that's something that you simply address right now and then move on to the next thing and move on with the sale. So first things first is you got to recognize what you're dealing with. When she told me I have to think about it, I'm like, okay, let me figure out if this is a complaint or not. I said, all right, well, what should I tell my team? And she sat there and she thought, she was like, you know, I like the price and I want to do the deal. Okay, so that just answered my question. That just shows me that this is just merely a complaint. And you want time to make sure that you have more control. When I know I just got to get this deal done for both me and you in real time. So I simply just said, all right, cool, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to call my team up right now. I'm going to have them send over the contract and we're going to walk through it together. And then we literally just walked through it together. She signed right there. Bada bing, bada boom. We got the deal. Now, if she said something like, you know, I have to think about it, and I found out that she had to think about it because it wasn't enough money to pay off the mortgage, then I would have had to go back and recrunch some numbers or figure out a creative way to solve her solution, or else I would have never got the deal done because she wouldn't have had something like $10,000 to come up with at close to sell her own house. That is an objection. I'm gonna wrap it all up with this. A complaint, you handle very briefly. You address it and you move on to the next thing. An objection, you gotta really dig deep and figure out what is going on. Figure out how much they owe on the mortgage or whatever the objection is about. Figure out why that is preventing it from moving forward and then find a solution to that problem and then close. I'm gonna catch y'all in the next video. Peace.